Good. We live? No. Testing. Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to the very first meeting of 2025 for the Creative Arts and Entertainment Committee. Real quick, if Representative Seaball will bless it, and then we will go forward with the rules of the committee.
Will you bow with me? Heavenly Father, thank you for this gorgeous day. Thank you for bringing us all here safely. We ask that you bless our discussions, guide our hearts, our heads, and our hands to do those things that are in the best interest of all Georgians. And with that, we say thank you. Amen.
All right, folks, we're going to go ahead, and if everyone will open up their packet and review the rules. Nothing's changed on the rules other than what we've done the past few years. Number 25.
Mr. Chairman, at the appropriate time, make a motion.
It's appropriate.
Approve the rules.
Second. We got a first. We got Representative Meeks, Chairman Meeks with a second. All in favor of the rules, say aye. Aye. Opposed? So we got one opposed. All right, the ayes have it. These are your rules. Hold them in your heart. Look over them when you need them. We do have a bill on the agenda today, House Bill 353. Representative Seaball, if you don't mind, if you want to go, you can either go to the podium or the table. As a heavy-set guy, I always use the table, but perfect. And we're going to let you off lightly. Normally we make you come in to walk-up music because this is the Creative Arts and Entertainment Committee. We're going to let you slide in that because we probably don't like the same music that you like. And I'm just kidding. We probably do. He also has a guest that probably wants to sit with him as well. Mr. Hudson. Well, I mean, he's actually sitting down with you because you have more hair on your head than he does, and he's jealous. Go ahead and present this bill.
Chairman Carpenter, committee members, thank you for the opportunity to present House Bill 353. I'm working off LC 590074. I want to start by taking you on a journey, not just through policy and proposals, but through the very heartbeat of Georgia music. Picture this. It's a warm evening in Macon. The sound of a soulful guitar riffs echoes down Cherry Street. A few hours north in Athens, a college band is playing in a small club, hoping to be the next big thing. Over in Atlanta and down in Savannah, producers are putting the final touches on a soundtrack that could top the Billboard charts or open in Georgia's next blockbuster film. This is Georgia, where music isn't just entertainment, it's part of who we are. From the great Ray Charles, Gladys Knight, James Brown, and Otis Redding to REM and Outkast. From Travis Tritt, Zach Brown, and Alan Jackson to Trisha Yearwood, Luke Bryan, and Jason Aldean. And the list goes on. From award-winning producers like Dave Cobb, Brian Michael Cox, and Mama Jan Smith, Georgia's music and Georgia's musicians have shaped generations. But while our talent is undeniable, the infrastructure to support, grow, and brand our music industry is missing a key piece. And this morning, I'm here to propose a solution in the form of House Bill 353. The creation of a Georgia Office of Music within the Department of Community Affairs, along with a music-ready community initiative to empower cities and local towns across our state to invest in music as an economic driver. The Georgia Office of Music would serve as a hub for the music industry, working to support local musicians and venues through information sharing, grants, promote music tourism by creating trail routes that guide visitors through important music-related locations, attract industry investment, including record labels, studios, and major music festivals, and offer professional development for artists, venue owners, and music businesses. It would develop strategic partnerships with the film and gaming industries to integrate Georgia music. And we would promote music education degrees in our colleges and universities. Music is not just an Atlanta thing. It thrives in Macon, Savannah, Augusta, Athens, and small towns all across our state. And the Music Ready Community Initiative would help cities develop local music strategies tailored to their needs. It would offer grants for infrastructure improvements, better venues, rehearsal spaces, and studio facilities, provide technical assistance to local governments on how to attract and retain music businesses. And think about what this could mean. A small town with a rich blues history could develop a music festival that draws thousands. A struggling downtown district could revitalize itself through live music venues. We've seen it work in places like Austin, Texas, and Asheville, North Carolina. And I think it's time for Georgia to take its rightful place. So why does this all matter? Because music is not just an art form, it's an industry, a multi-billion-dollar economic engine. We've seen what the Film Office and Film Ready Community Initiative has done for Georgia, with the film industry now calling Georgia our home. Imagine what would happen if we had a coordinated strategic approach to growing our music industry. Texas has done it with the Texas Music Office generating over $31 billion in economic activity and supporting nearly 200,000 jobs. Tennessee's built Nashville into a global musical capital, leveraging state resources to attract talent and investment. And it's become widely known today as a popular wedding venue, attracting out-of-state and international visitors due to its vibrant music scene, unique venues, and celebratory atmosphere. Georgia has just as much musical heritage and potential, if not more, but we lack a central office to advocate for, promote, and protect our musicians, venues, and industry professionals. So I'll finish with this because there are some people here I think that may want to speak. But this is the vision for Georgia's music future. Georgia has always been a place where music legends are born. It's time to ensure that those legends don't have to leave Georgia to succeed. It's time to start building an infrastructure that supports our musicians, boosts our economy, and celebrates our culture. With the creation of the Georgia Office of Music and the Music Ready Community Initiative, we have an opportunity to cement Georgia's status as a music powerhouse, not just in the South, but throughout the world. So I urge this committee to support this initiative through the passage of House Bill 353, and let's build the future of Georgia's music industry. Let's make sure that the next generation of legendary artists don't just get their start here, they stay here. They thrive here and make Georgia the musical capital it was always meant to be. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'll ask for your favorable consideration.
All right, folks. Anybody have any questions for the author? Or we'll probably allow some folks to speak. Number 9. Oh, this thing's lighting up, man, like the 4th of July.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is great. I love this. As a young person here, I think that we need to do anything that continues to attract creativity to our state. Do you have an idea of how much revenue this might bring to our state? And additionally, what role will academic institutions play in this office?
Do you know how much money? I know Texas has created $36 billion economic revenue on this. This bill is, and I say this is based on appropriations from the state to get it started. But the educational system, I know Kennesaw State University has a music business program, which is fairly new to the state. And there's not a whole lot of other music business programs throughout the state that I'm aware of. But with this Office of Music, we would know that. We could help to recruit kids to come to Georgia for music. My son's a music business major that had to go to Middle Tennessee State University to get a music business degree. So I think there's a big opportunity for workforce development in the music industry. There's about, 700 different organizations in Georgia, and there's no coordinated effort to help recruit students into the workforce, or people, they don't know what the left hand's doing or the right hand's doing, and this would serve as a hub for that industry to make that happen.
Thank you. 25.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Representative, for bringing this bill. You, if anyone, have close family ties and know much about the music industry. Just a couple quick questions. You mentioned subject to appropriations. Do you know how much would need to be appropriated to stand something up successfully?
I'd ask the chairman, I've talked to him about getting a physical note for that. But, you know, I would guess around $2.5 million to get this thing started. That's just the best guess.
Why DCA and not economic development or some housing it there? Just out of curiosity.
Mr. Chairman, is it okay?
I know who you are.
I will. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Brian Hudson, and I'm here today on behalf of several different organizations in music. I represent Georgia Music Partners, which is obviously a Georgia-based kind of coalition of various music industry professionals across the state. I also represent the Recording Industry Association of America and the Recording Academy, which is also known as the Grammys. And we fully support this bill. Representative Hilton, it's a good question. I think the budget really kind of depends. I mean, it's, you know, other states, it's actually a lot smaller than the 2.5 million. It's really kind of a, you know, certainly what we don't want to, you know, kind of just force an agency to do something without proper funding, clearly. And I think on this, starting off, it'd be great to just have one person, so maybe a couple $100,000, maybe a $500,000. Texas's budget really isn't that big considering it's Texas. So there's some, you know, so I think that's really kind of up to obviously the Appropriations Committee and the governor's office on that. So we have talked to the Department of Economic Development in the past. They do a tremendous job, obviously, for our state. And I cannot say enough good things about the department, the commissioner, and all the great things they do to grow our economy here. They do a great job with film. They do have a entertainment office. Of course, I don't speak for them, that has a music piece. But I think from the industry standpoint, we wanted this to be more expansive. And so we looked at the Department of Community Affairs, and I have spoken to their folks as well. Of course, I don't speak for them, but I have briefed them on this. Mostly, I think, because of the reference to Representative Seaball's point on the music community, Ready Communities program. It's something that's been very successful in Texas. We thought that had a good fit in the Department of Community Affairs as it relates to places like Macon, where they have Capricorn Records that has, you know, they've got an influx of money from Mercer to renovate that facility. I know Representative Washburn is familiar with that. That's doing great things there. And just kind of building that program through the Department of Community Affairs. Obviously, they have an economic development arm as well, but we thought it was a good fit in Georgia. In other states, it's either in the governor's office. One state, it's actually in the Department of Natural Resources. We kind of thought that was a stretch. And then a few other states, it's economic development. So it's kind of all over the place. And on that note, so Texas, as Representative Seaball mentioned, Texas has a very successful office that was started under a Democrat governor that has now been fully funded and actually increased over Republican governors. So this truly is a bipartisan effort. North Carolina, since we introduced this bill a couple years ago, we have had numerous states look at what we've done here, got a little nervous and said, we need to do what Georgia's doing before they do it. And that includes North Carolina. That actually includes Tennessee. They had more of a film office, an entertainment office. They have a music office now. You wouldn't think they would need it in Nashville, but they see what Georgia has done so successfully with film that they didn't want to see us keep all of our artists here, which we desperately need. So they propped up a music office, and Oklahoma has got one, and West Virginia is bringing one on board, and so is Louisiana. So this was all because we introduced a bill a couple years ago. Just like when we introduced the original tax credit bill, we saw a bunch of other states, again, because of Georgia's success with film, look at Georgia and say, wait a minute, we need to be better suited to compete against Georgia. So that was a really long answer to your question. I apologize.
That was great because you had two other questions. You answered both along the way.
Good.
So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm very interested in this. I come from a musically inclined family. My father was a recording artist, and I was almost a professional clarinetist, so I'm very excited about this. But coming from Atlanta, right, where it appears that, you know, the music scene is vibrant and thriving. So can you give me a better idea of the current landscape so that I can understand what holes this fills? or what this actually does? Or, like, what is the current landscape so that this would be necessary?
Thank you. That's a great question. So currently, Georgia's music industry is roughly about $5 billion, and that's across the state. We have pockets throughout the state that are very hungry to grow, and we as a state have tried to keep up with these other states that I've mentioned. Tennessee is certainly, doing very, very well, and they're bringing folks in from New York. They're bringing folks in from California. Texas is doing the same thing. So we feel like this office would basically, and I think the author spoke to this, kind of be a central point for the industry. There's really not one right now as it relates to trying to coordinate different projects, whether it's a film needs a producer or they need some musicians to score a film. They may not know where to start. This person could help with that. So Georgia certainly, and I think the author mentioned this, we have so many great artists that are from Georgia, from the past and currently, and they leave. And that's really unfortunate. And I think to Representative Cannon's question, we have some great higher educational programs in music. Kennesaw State is a tremendous program. We also have the University of Georgia that has a great program with Dave Barbie running it over there, as well as others. SCAD has a great program. And so, unfortunately, our kids are graduating and they're realizing there's nothing in Georgia. Even though there is, it's not being promoted in a way where we could potentially keep these students here in Georgia. I know Representative Spencer Fry has a great facility in downtown Athens, Tweed Recording, and they're trying to fill that gap as it relates to educating producers and engineers and things like that, and we could not support them more. And I know Representative Fry is close to those folks, and they're doing a tremendous job right there in downtown Athens with educating these folks and trying to get them ready for the workforce. But we have lost a lot of artists over the year. Fortunately, we have had a couple that have moved back. The author mentioned Dave Cobb. Dave is the equivalent of like a major corporation coming to Georgia. He is a 9-time Grammy Award-winning producer he basically is the sound for Chris Stapleton. I shouldn't say the sound. He is very, very involved with Chris Stapleton, as well as Miranda Lambert, Stevie Nicks, Reba McEntire, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Huge. Moved down to Savannah from Nashville and growing his business in Savannah. We also have a gentleman named Mark Neal down in Valdosta, of all places. He's from Valdosta, moved to LA for a long time. He's back in Valdosta. He is a Grammy Award-winning producer for the Black Keys, and he is growing his business there. I mentioned Capricorn Records and Macon, all the great things going on in Athens. So, again, really long answer to your question. I'm clearly passionate about this, but I think having a central point will help just kind of bring everybody together. And again, if somebody comes in, if a production company comes into the state and doesn't know where to start as it relates to, I need recording, I need a producer, et cetera, then they can contact this office and they can put them in touch with the right people. I apologize, Mr. Chairman, for the 45-minute answer.
Yeah, I would just have probably said it's very fragmented. But hey, great. That's a good, lot of words. You get paid for your words,
That's
unlike
why,
myself. So fragmented is a good word to say.
That's why you're the chairman.
21.
Sorry.
Well, the chairman does have a way of speaking, so I don't know. Representative, thanks for bringing this. And just to follow up on the question that Chairman Hilton asked, on page 3, lines 42 through 65, it looks like, with exception of line 64 and 65, number 10 of certified cities and counties as a music-friendly Georgia certified community, it looks like that 1 through 9 is really in the wheelhouse of economic development. Is that not true?
I think it's a it's a good combination of both. We thought about DCA because DCA focuses a lot on supporting local communities, and I think music is local, like including revitalization projects, infrastructure investments, and those kind of things in the local community. So, marketing is a part of it, but I think this hub, I think with the hub, the organizations that are participating in the music industry could better do their own marketing. I don't know that we're looking for the state to actually market that, but to bring these people together so that they can share their products with the rest of the state.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I got a question real quick. Would it be fair to say that economic development has focused a lot on film, and to me, other business projects, and to me, it has always been an outside in, bringing outsiders into Georgia, and for music and what DCA does, it's more of an inside-out growth model, and that's why the two match up better than economic music being under economic development. Because when you're always focused on what can we bring to Georgia, well, we've got it. We've already got it into Georgia. So how can we take our downtown development areas and make them better? That's what DCA does. How can we take our local musicians and make them better and non-fragmented? Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head.
Thank you. 17.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was going to say exactly what you're going to say. But there we go. But also talking about local musicians, Mr. Hudson here, yeah, I know. I just have to put it out there. Had a jazz trio play out in Grayson in my district, and I went to see him, and I can understand the mindset that you bring. But I also want to ask about your projections when it comes to workforce development, because that's a wheelhouse I'm always in. What do you anticipate Georgia will benefit from a workforce development standpoint in terms of numbers?
Well, I think as we grow the music industry, the recording industry, and the publishing industry, and those kind of things, we can, when these kids graduate from music school, they'll be able to get jobs here in Georgia in those different disciplines. I know Nashville. More familiar with Nashville than Texas, but Nashville has a lot of publishing houses. They have a lot of record labels there, but they're there because that's where the industry thrives.
Yeah,
we want to make Georgia thrive because we have the talent and we have the industries here. They're just not. There's no coordination of everybody playing together, and this is kind of the focus of the industry. Representative asked what the current landscape is, and people that listen to rap music know this is a rap capital of the country.
yeah.
But people that listen to country music and pop music, they don't know that. They're not familiar with that, with the industry. And I think with everybody talking and we've been doing a lot of that with these road shows throughout Georgia. We're spreading the message through the chambers of commerce and those kind of things. But I think an office of music that somebody can point to and say, I'm interested in this. I think it would go a long way for our state. And I think the initial investment would be minimal when you look at the overall economic development dollars that it will bring in.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to go to number 11. A fairly famous musician from Athens, Georgia.
Almost famous. Hey, look, Hudson, thank you so much for bringing this. I know you've been working in this field for a super long time, and I appreciate your advocacy. Just so we're clear, I want to make sure that the way Georgia can be Nashville is if we quit taxing the income that the musicians make in Georgia. And so any sort of royalties, tax abatement on that would naturally uplift the music industry here in the state relative to Nashville. Tennessee, I don't believe, has an income tax, which causes a lot of the musicians to stay up there. I agree with some of the sentiments. Maybe it needs to change agencies, but I absolutely understand the need for autonomy of this office. So being within economic development, some fear may be that it gets covered up necessarily and doesn't have its sole standing and the attention that it needs. And if that's the case, I agree with that 100%. So I appreciate this. Let's roll this and then get the income tax bill rolling next. Okay, thank you. Hey, so my 14 cents I got off TuneCore doesn't get taxed.
I mean, let's ease up over there now. I did listen to your new release on Spotify. That was fantastic. I appreciate that. So a quarter of that cent was mine. 25.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I assume Georgia now has a number of music associations, nonprofits, maybe even for-profits that, frankly, could probably raise more than $2 million. Is there anything keeping the private sector from doing a coordinated effort, kind of serving the role of what we're proposing here today?
No, there's not. I mean, obviously, the private sector they can compete with government in a lot of spaces. I think in this case, though, especially if we're able to get some type of tax incentive, whether it's, Representative Fry's idea, which is a great idea, or others, having a kind of a central point in the government space, similar to film, I think would just makes sense as it relates to coordinating efforts with other local governments and things like that. But I certainly agree with you. I think the private sector, obviously the organizations I represent are in the private sector, and we would certainly be in strong and close coordination with this office, with marketing, et cetera. So does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
I think also a state office serves as a neutral point. I mean, these organizations are obviously competing against their competitors with each other in a lot of these spaces. So I think bringing in a state office is kind of a neutral place that they can share ideas and help each other out.
Yeah, I think that was going to be my argument too, is that if you allow organizations to put it together, then obviously they're more slanted to whoever's writing them the check versus having a holistic, neutral approach. So yeah, I agree with that. Number 19.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can we come back to the education piece? So we talked about the schools like Kennesaw State, SCAD, who have like music business programs. So with this office, would a school who wants to develop a music business degree or program, would they be able to get funding from this office or be able to put up that program through this office? What does that education piece look like?
That's a great question. I don't believe that's the case, the purpose of this. I think this is just my opinion. I think if a school is interested in growing or starting a music business program, I think obviously working through the Board of Regents clearly is the best path for that. And also talking to the existing universities that have been successful. Like I said, UGA and Kennesaw, the two that come off. Georgia State has a great program as well. But I think this office would be more on the coordination effort with the local communities, et cetera, versus kind of a central point for grants and things like that. Does that answer your question? Okay.
I think too, the school, the kids coming to school here for music business, when they graduate, there's nowhere for them to go. And I think this would open opportunities and jobs for them to graduate from Kennesaw State or the University of Georgia and get a job here in Georgia. Kind of like what the film industry did. Everybody went to Hollywood or New York or London, and now they're staying here in Georgia. Same thing happened in Texas.
I think that concludes our questions. Do we have anybody here to speak to this or against it? Nope. No speakers. All right. The chairman will entertain a motion if
Thank you.
We'll get you a form filled out, or you get your form filled out, head the rules, and we appreciate everybody today.
All right.